Merry meet, folks. This is Win Willow. I've got, finally, it has arrived, the Wildwood Tarot, which I was talking about in my previous video on Oracle decks. And the Wildwood Tarot was actually the first one I ordered since I'm getting accustomed to working with cards. And it just took a while getting here. You might recognize this as the typical image you see if you're going to purchase it on Amazon or somewhere like that. I, on first impressions, am very impressed with the artwork in this particular deck. Obviously, the artwork is something that is likely to draw a person to this. The image of the stag and things like that, the natural feel of the images, I think is alluring for a lot of people. Okay, so looking at this at first glance, I just received this yesterday. I haven't had time to work with it. I'm still bonding with it, so I don't have a lot of insight to offer in terms of working with the cards, but I'm just going to give you my first impressions. It's a tarot deck, so it's not an oracle deck, but it isn't your typical Rider-Waite version of the tarot. I'm going to show this page from the book because I think it says a lot about what kind of deck this is. It's structured in a way that it represents the wheel of the year, and you have 4 different suits of cards in this, much like the Rider-Waite, except the suits are different symbols, are represented by different symbols, but they still represent the different elements. Okay, so for example, you have a suit that is arrows, and they refer to it as time of the arrows. That represents the element of air. You have time of the bows, which represents the element of fire. The time of vessels represents water, and that would be the chalice or cup from the other probably more common decks of tarot. And then you have time of stones for earth instead of pentacle. And if you're looking at this, I'll show it again. They each correlate to a different season in the wheel of the year. I think that's very cool. I like that a lot. And there are different cards in here that are probably more similar to like the major arcana in a tarot deck. And they've got some slight twists on that to reflect the fact that this is trying to go with a woodland theme. Now, I haven't read the book completely. I've just glanced at it so I could do this review because I know some people were really interested in seeing these cards, so I wanted to post it soon. The one thing I wanted to kind of say about it is, and again, this isn't coming from the book, it's coming from me. I almost feel like they're presenting these cards in a way that it's almost like you're entering a guided meditation where you're in a wooded area or you're in the forest, and thus the name, the Wildwood. And you are supposedly going to probably use the Wanderer as your significator, as you, representing you. You don't have to, obviously, you can do what you want, but this is something that they recommend or see a lot of people using as a representation of themselves. Okay, so you're entering into this wild wood, and then the things that you encounter along the way are reflected in what cards show up in your, whatever layout you're doing. And so that's kind of an interesting thing. Say you're doing a layout, and these are some of the what I would consider the major arcana. The shaman may be someone you encounter. They do have a card for the star. Very interesting. Love that. Non-traditional look of the star card. The green woman. The messenger deck also had a green woman card. The green man. Other things that might appear on your journey through the forest. The stag. The wheel. It's like a loom, and they're weaving cloth on it. The woodward. I don't know, is it just me, or does he remind anyone else of Jethro Tull a little bit? Sorry, I have a terrible sense of humor. The mirror. And again, the whole idea that this is sort of like a meditation or like a shamanic journey or something like that, is something that I'm kind of just going with, because that's what I feel when I'm looking at these. It's almost like you are on this journey, and this is what you're perhaps encountering as you go deeper in the woods. I love that idea. In fact, I'm going to go with it regardless of what the book says. Now you can see that the deck isn't as big as some decks of oracle cards and things. They're about what I would consider average size. They're not overly thick, which some people like, because that makes them easier to shuffle. Some people don't like that because that makes them easier to shuffle, and therefore they bend and lose their rigidity. So that's just a matter of taste, I suppose. It works well, though, in my hands. It's not so big that it doesn't fit in my hands nicely. But I almost wish that they were a little bit bigger, just simply because they're so beautiful and the artwork is so pretty that I would just love to see it a little bit bigger. This might be my favorite. Okay, this is the suit of bows, and you can see that they use the bow. In most of the cards in a suit, they would try to use the, here's something kind of naughty. I forget what those people are called that are there, invisible from the air. I should know that, but I can't recall what they're called. Okay, stones, page of stones. Oh, I love this. This is the ace of stones. Okay, you get a little animal representation in most of these. I know I'm showing a lot of cards, but I just really think that they're beautiful cards. Okay, so let me find one for vessels. This is vessels. Knight of Vessels. Two of Vessels. Kind of interesting image there. Five of Vessels. And it does give you, like you see, you got a little one word interpretation or one word piece of guidance that goes with each card. That one would be ecstasy. So you do have some easy to reference, quick to reference information other than just the image alone, which may be enough. And let me see, I didn't show you any arrows. Okay, the Knight of Arrows is a hawk. I know that's the totem animal for a lot of people. So this would be an interesting deck for people who have an animal totem that they really strongly connect with. Could be something that they enjoy as a deck for that reason. Let's do one more. I like her. Nine of Arrows. Dedication. Boy, ain't that the truth, ladies. Alright. Oh, and then the back of the card. Very Celtic. Which is something that I found attractive about this. I think I said before that I'm not necessarily on the Druid path or follow a strict Celtic path, but I do connect with Celtic traditions and mythology in a big way, and it's a huge part of a reason that I'm on the path that I'm on. It's because of that connection. So anyway, and it comes with a book that is relatively thick compared to some others. I know some people prefer a thin book with their deck. I haven't read this to tell you whether or not there's a lot of useful stuff outside of the interpretations for each card or not, but so far at first glance, I mean, I'm a reader. I like the book, so I'm okay with that. The box is a nice box. It's not a throwaway box. So anyway, this is the Wildwood Tarot, and I hope that you enjoyed looking at it. I know I'm very excited to work with it. It's a beautiful deck. So have a great Sunday afternoon, and I'll talk to you later. All right, blessed be.